Hello, cosplay, we're back, and we are not making the Gilgamesh armors, I think I said in the last video. Sorry for that. I have a list of armors I need to make and produce. It's just this one was in the pipeline. It's coming soon. Okay, so this is some WoW armor based off one of the big bad dragons. At the time, there was only art of a human anthropomorphized version. Sorry, a male anthropomorphized version. There is now a female one. I've actually seen 2 or 3 people do it. So if it doesn't match that, it's because the art didn't exist like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, depending. I'm not exactly sure. From when I'm recording the audio for this again. Thank you, YouTube, for destroying videos. You're amazing. Okay, so the first part of this is going to be the mace. We're going to be continuing on with the rest of the armor in the 6-part series. Half of it is going to be exclusively on finalcosplay.com because I will have much more control over my videos there. That's the benefit of running a website. Of course, then I have to pay for stuff. But anyway, it's there for my wonderful supporters. Thank you so much for all your help. You help me make content. Alright, so in this first part, we're going to be making a big, heavy, awesome mace. And the entirety of it weighs around 8 pounds, which doesn't sound too bad considering how big it is. But imagine holding that at the end of like a 6-foot stick. Yeah. It gets to be heavy based on force times weight times or force or distance. The longer you have things on the stick, the more momentum you get. Anyway, the basic plan for the head of the mace is that it's going to interlock, kind of like those planes that you fold together and interlock, and then they lock into place. Balsa wood, yes, the balsa wood planes. And it's going to be supported by this large, I believe this is a 1 1/4 inch PVC pipe. The PVC pipe is going to kind of slot around the head of the mace, and then we're going to lock it off at the top with a cap. The cap is also going to serve as a protective piece because most of the time you're going to be walking around with something like this with the heavy part at the bottom, so that cap is there to kind of take the brunt of the force. I believe, did the art have, or it's been so many years, did the art have a spike at the end? But for this, you need something steady to put it on, so I put a cap on the end for logistical reasons. Oh, so we are going to have this breakdown into 2 parts because I have to ship it, and we're going to use 1 inch PVC pipe to joint the 2 pieces together. As you can see, it just kind of fits one into the other. The pipes very nicely, like dowel rods, will slot into each other. We're also going to have a dowel rod down the center of the piece because it provides more structural support. PVC pipes are really good for holding things like screws, whereas dowel rods will have the grain of the wood typically splinter or stress on them, so they're better. See, we're bad English. They're better for other parts for the structural pieces. Here we have a bunch of triangles. We're going to be adding those to the connection pieces and the base of the hilt of the mace for the spike details. These are going to be layered over each other to look all pointy and menacing and awesome. But they don't necessarily need to be any particular shape. We're going to be layering them like you would a flower or a rose or other kinds of organic materials, kind of to overlap the screws and hide them, and also to make the overall shape much more appealing and interesting. You can see we put a wrap around the middle there just to kind of hide where the pieces connect to the pipe. We will cover the last screws, the screws that are in the end exposed, with a bit of wood filler so no one can see them and it'll look amazing. We have a bit of detail here on the head of the mace. We're simply going to be gluing that on with a bit of, I think it's like E6000, yeah. But any kind of heavy glue like contact cement will get the job done. These are thinner pieces of MDF, medium density fiberboard, because we don't need to add a ton of weight. It's just a detail. So the MDF here is 1/8 of an inch thick, whereas the actual structural component of it is 1/4 inch. So we have a few more extra details we're going to be heating and thermoforming. These are supposed to represent something like, I guess, bones or shards or teeth. something organic and platey. So we're going to be heating those up and shaping them. The advantage of PVC foam sheeting is that you can heat it up and shape it like your other thermoformable materials, like your craft foams or your Warbler, but it has the structural integrity of something much more rigid. That's why it's a heavier plastic. And so it has more bulk and it feels heavier overall. It'll also take a bit more to bend or break, but unfortunately you will have a harder time fixing it if it eventually does break. So it's not exactly the best if you have like big long spikes. These are really stubby spikes, so it's not that big a deal, but I wouldn't recommend big curly flourishes. Those are very likely to be snapped off because the plastic is obviously harder. So here we have it. They're all nice and locked together, and we have the cap on to ensure it doesn't go anywhere. But to make sure it absolutely doesn't go anywhere, we've added a screw to the top. Actually, probably, I'm going to guess 3 or 4 screws. For some of the details, we're going to be adding a bit of foam. These are pipe covers, insulation for your pipes, so they don't freeze in the winter. I'm heating them with a bit of heat to create a texture on them, a more shiny texture, and to round them out. I did do a bit of sanding, but it's just not exactly what I was looking for, so I hit them with a bit of heat to give them a glossier finish, like a spinal column, I guess, in a way. So we are now, of course, wrapping the handle for texture and for theme, and we are going to paint it up because it's kind of a more, I'm going to say, war-torn kind of look. We are going to be not worrying about paint getting on the fabric. So for this, we base it in black. And for lava effects, what we're going to be doing is working from a darker red and adding small details. In this case, less is more. You don't want to line the entirety of all the details with this red or orange, because it's supposed to highlight the areas where the soot is broken away, where the light from within is breaking through. Now, the way to create a lava effect is essentially to make smaller and smaller areas brighter and brighter and brighter. So as this dries, we're going to come in with brighter colors. We're going to move from a red to a light red to an orange to a yellow in smaller and smaller increments in smaller and smaller spots to create this glowing effect. And that's how you create lava for those details. This is very much about getting into the cracks and crevices where you would imagine a log glowing, and for the soot or the ash to not build up. Typically the ash will build up on the exposed sections where the logs crack, and you'll have the glowing within where the air is getting to it. To add a bit more texture, we're going to be doing some edge highlighting and brushing effects to bring out some of the texture here. As you can see, I did a light brushing of gray over the surface to add a bit more texture. As you can see right now, just plain flat black is very boring and it doesn't photograph very well. Flat black doesn't tend to photograph pretty good. The edge is got some brown detail on it to bring that out, and to make it look nicked up and war-torn, we're going to bust out a fan brush, and we're going to do some edge highlighting with some light gray to really bring out that ash texture there. For the finish, we want it to not be too shiny, so definitely don't hit it with a gloss. If you want to do a polyurethane spray, that's probably pretty good, but we do want to protect the overall paint job. Maybe a matte varnish will be good as well, but I think for this particular work, a polyurethane spray is where we're going to protect the finish. I will expect the head to wear as it's being kind of scraped against sidewalks and asphalt and whatever you happen to be walking across during the convention, but otherwise that's fine. You can add more details and work it into the texture later on. It's not a huge deal. And there's where it comes apart. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to start working on the armor. I hope you guys checked it out. Link in the description. Good times to all. Hurrah! Over at finalcosplaycore.com, there are hundreds of tutorials, pictures, walkthroughs, all that awesome cosplay goodness. Hope you check it out. Good times to all. Rah!